Dale, what's your reaction to Keir Starmer scaling back on what is a key commitment?
Yeah, morning, Nadine. It's nice to be with you. My reaction was not a big surprise. I thought there'd been a lot of speculation in the media for the weeks leading up to last Thursday, I think it was, or Wednesday. And I think it's an entirely pragmatic move, given the deterioration of the economy in the 3 years since the pledge was made. And I think it reflected Labour's desire to show caution, to show that they would be careful with public money. So rather than make a pledge this big, blind of the actual circumstances, not just of today, but we don't know when the election will be. Will it be in May? Will it be in October? Will Rishi run all the way to January? We don't know. We don't know the state of the economy at that time. So I thought it was quite sensible.
And what do you think of the leak? The fact that it was leaked and really caused him some serious problems.
Honestly, I never know if the leaks are on purpose or they're actual leaks. That stuff I don't worry about. What I concern myself with is, the green economy that we need to move to. This is what's good for our country. Every pound we spend on renewable energy gives us twice as many jobs and 2.5 times the GDP growth as if we spend it on fossil fuels. And all I care about is that we get a government that pursues the green economy instead of the old fossil economy. So I very much want Labour to win. I don't care if they pledge 28 billion or not. I just care that they get after it if and when they get into number 10.
Dale, I hope you don't mind me saying this, but the net zero commitments and the achievements of the previous Conservative administration at COP26 were pretty phenomenal. They were groundbreaking. And I think the commitments that the Conservative Party made are more than Keir Starmer has made. And I'm really surprised to hear you say that you're not unhappy about that 28 billion kind of dumping the policy, because didn't you used to fund Just Stop Oil? I thought this was a matter of principle to you and something that you were passionate about.
Well, last summer it became clear that the only way we can just stop oil is to just stop the Tories, because Rishi Sunak's reaction to the protest wasn't to listen at all and listen to the country. Actually, millions and millions of people care that we don't drill for new oil and gas. The United Nations have said it's moral and economic madness to do such a thing. Rishi Sunak didn't just not listen, he went the opposite direction and announced a whole raft of new drilling licenses for the North Sea. And it became clear no amount of protest was going to change that. Only the election can do so.
So, Dan, would you describe yourself first and second? Socialist first, environmentalist second?
I'm environmentalist before anything else, actually. But I think that we can't have true sustainability without social justice, and Labour offers that. Also, Nadine, can I challenge your point that the Conservatives had a kind of massive achievement at COP26? I don't think they did at all. And of course, the Conservatives did bring in the net zero law, but since they've turned their back on it with all kinds of U-turns on green issues.
Oh, Dale, I'm with you on that. It was Rishi Sunak as one of I made this point yesterday that, politically speaking, net zero was in Boris Johnson's heart. Politically speaking, he took the left of the ground with animal welfare and the net zero commitment. He took the right with Brexit and immigration, although Rishi Sunak opposed it, and other things. And actually what Rishi Sunak has done is thrown all those policies away. So he's now left on a very narrow political island, having abandoned the left and abandoned the right. But, but I think you're wrong to say that COP26 is renowned amongst the environmental community, although they don't say it publicly, they say it quietly, as the best COP that we've had in a generation, well, since COP began, which was obviously a while ago now. But it was that net zero commitment, the pledges made by countries from India all across the globe to recognising the danger of climate change and what needs to be done. I was there. It was a phenomenal COP meeting. It was incredible. And we got countries to come in and agree, the UAE, countries that you would not expect to agree to what was a serious problem. They were nailed at that COP20, and it's agreed. So I think you're wrong to say that it wasn't it was. And I think if you're an environmentalist first, I think that's something you have to acknowledge, regardless of the politics behind it. You have to acknowledge when huge strides are made in tackling climate change and what's happening, the dangers that are threatening the planet today.
Yeah, look, I agree with you that it was a big step, COP26. The language of the final statement of the conference was a big improvement on what it had before. It wasn't the biggest for a generation. I would disagree about that because Paris, I think, was possibly the biggest for a generation, where the world agreed that 1.5 degrees was the target. I was at COP3 in Kyoto a very long time ago when the world first agreed carbon targets at all, and that was monumental. It was only about 10%, but it was a step. And every COP more or less gives us a small or a bigger step. Glasgow was a step, and I would say it was a medium-sized step. Paris was a bigger one, and funnily enough, the one we most recently had in the middle of the oil-producing states of the world was actually a step itself, as in terms of accepting that there's a problem with fossil
Oh, come
fuels and
on,
we have
Dale.
to
It
stop
was
using
mildly chaotic, to say the least.
it was. It was, but there was an agreement that we had to stop using fossil fuels. And what Rishi Sunak's doing is exactly the opposite. And I think he's doing it for narrow political purposes, for his own remote chance of winning the election. And it's against everything. It's against good economics. It's against climate science. It's against net zero that we've enshrined in law. And it frustrates me that an unelected prime minister can take the country in completely the wrong direction for his own personal gain.
Dale, it's been fantastic to have you on the show. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today.